Cable 10, Aurora, Illinois Community Access Channel.
Let's get weird, buddy. Let's get weird.
Where are we?
Well, if there's a bright center to the universe, you're on the planet that it's farthest from.
Welcome to the Outer Rim. Enjoy your stay.
And we're live. How's it going, everybody? It's Fallout. Fake.
Oh, please, no.
Why does everybody always want me to kill them all the time?
I love you, Sugar Pop.
No, no, no.
Miss?
All right. Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and we're finally at the end of season 2. What a great 8 weeks, at least for me, it's been. It's a week to week be able to talk about a show that I'm really enjoying. Every week, I don't think we've really had any complaints too bad, except, we thought the penultimate was a little bit whatever, but it's all still really well done in my opinion. But today Darrin and I aren't just joined as we always are at the hip, but we've got some special guests for the finale, and I couldn't be happier to have them along. Marc, you've been here before, so I'm going to introduce Don Willi first because it's been a minute, and everybody, Don Willi is back on the channel.
Good evening, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rob, for inviting me. Yeah, it has been wow. Glad to be talking about the Fallout Season 2 finale.
And then, yes, as always, he's been here a few times over the years, and hopefully we'll be here more times, including Don. Sorry, it's been a weird day. I've had a weird day, so I'm a little all over the place, but it's Marc over there in the bottom right corner square. We need a center square now, I think. So if Alyssa's, we'd be able to just pop up the center square. She could be the perfect center square. How you doing, Marc? Welcome back.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Always great to be back here and ready to talk some Fallout.
And not to be, not that I've forgotten about him, but Darrin, how's it going?
It's good. Well, I've been looking forward to this one. I mean, not only do we have 2 illustrious guests to join us on this finale and probable season discussion, but I really like this finale. This did everything it needed to do for me in many unexpected ways. So I'm excited to jump into it today.
Okay. I also really liked it. So we already know how you and I feel about it. So just without too much detail, what did you guys think of the finale? I'll start with you, Marc.
I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still processing it. I think I liked it. I liked that it covered pretty much all the storylines. Usually some of the episodes leave out a couple storylines. And I like how it covered everything and everything was hard hitting. I didn't like that they left it kind of open too much for saving a lot for the next season. I was expecting something a bit more definite, but it wasn't that bad. I still really enjoyed it. I've heard some people online saying they really didn't like the finale, and I was like, well, I don't agree with that. I think this was a fun, enjoyable finale.
And how about you, Don? What did you think of this finale?
Sorry, Lucky is acting up right now.
Trust me, I've got a cat off screen that's doing crazy stuff right now.
Yeah, so look, I actually like the finale. I like the things that it set up for next season. It's funny because I'm thinking about like the finale, the House of the Dragon, and how that set up things for next season, but that felt like the ultimate, dick tease. But this didn't to me. It's like, they closed things that needed to be closed, opened new doors that needed to be opened. And this felt like a proper season finale. So yeah, I actually liked it a lot.
Awesome. Yeah, I've seen it. I haven't watched anything. You can just tell by some of the thumbnails. And I like that. Yes, there was the Death Claw stuff, but it was mostly conversations. And I think people just associate this show with like for big endings, they think everything's got to explode and blow up. And I said earlier on in this season that I would rather them kind of end it like this, where it's just like it's set up, but like all season finales of a show set up the third season. So I don't know what you're talking about, except it's like it's all set up. And I think that people forget that they did check off a lot of boxes and they did close a lot of things off that were important. Lucy went after her dad and got him. The ghoul finds out where his wife and daughter were. We go full circle with Kyle MacLachlan. He does everything that he's gonna do. Maximus finds Lucy. He's been on the way. So, I mean, those are all things that happened, that all those were character goals. Nobody said they were going to take on the Legion. Everything is about survival. So, like, I think that what we set up is going to be a really heavy action season 3. I mean, where we leave off, there's nothing but a fight about to happen. And if it goes in the New Vegas style, ooh, we are going to have some fun. All right. Because I'm not going to spoil it for people who haven't played the game. I know what I did at the end of that game. And it kind of looks like this. It kind of looks like the Legion marching on Vegas. And I had my own plans for the Legion. Everybody got blown the hell up.
Yeah, so just to clarify, I don't think this is anywhere near as bad as House of the Dragon. Like, that was terrible. That was like that, and The Last of Us season 2 was probably even worse. It might as well ended the season mid-sentence. Like, those were terrible. They need to have definitive endings, and I do think this was a definitive ending for the season. But I kind of feel like you mentioned the the ghoul, what's his name again?
Cooper.
Oh no, Howard. The main one. Is that the Walton Goggins?
Yeah, Cooper Howard.
That's Cooper Howard? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right. Didn't realize that. I don't know. Pay attention to the names. But anyway, I felt like him finding his family is kind of kicking the can down the road. It's like, sorry, Mario, the princess is in another castle sort of situation. And that was a little bit frustrating to me.
Well, I mean, I totally see that. And yet, I think that's one of those things where it's like he can't find his family. That's one of those things that have to be dripped out in order to drive that character. The guy and the girl can't get together because once that romance happens, the will they, won't they, gets entirely lost. So I kind of get that, but at least before it was, I know they're out there somewhere, and this one is, I found where they are, and now it's like they got away. Now I know where to go after, so I mean, I think it does carry that enough, but I get, to me, I knew he wasn't gonna find his family, because that would just, I don't know, I think that would lose a lot of the drive for the character at that point.
Yeah, he had hope now. Like, it was real and genuine, and we've gotten to see his character change over this season to this moment of seeing the Colorado postcard and knowing what he's been through, what they've shown us that he's gone through, and still don't know everything. and still leave those questions out there, how he got there and how to be there. And we know where he's going, but we still don't know how quite he got there. And that's the stuff that I love. And you know it's back there and they're ready to roll it out. And that's what's important. If you like story and character, if you're only there for the finale so that you can watch them go into vats and shoot a bunch of things, that's not really what this is either. This is, it's got the sensibilities of Westworld in its storytelling with the people that are behind it, with just adapting and giving everybody a bunch of things that are cool from the show or from the games. And they capture the heart, they capture the essence, they capture the absurdity and the satire and the parody of all of it. And you still have to keep it under budget too. So you got all these, you got to see explosions and death from death claws. And if that's not enough, you have all these interesting story character moments. And I think that for the people who react to things, maybe they're having a hard time going, oh, how do I react and get thousands of clicks on people just talking? Why don't I just watch Mad Men or something? It's like the people that understand story and character know that even if we're a little disappointed with some of this stuff, because I agree, like I would have loved if like maybe his daughter was there and he'd have to explain to his daughter like how. And over the course of next season, then you'd see how he became the Gould because he's having to tell her. That would have been an interesting thing, but they didn't. But we move on because there's a lot of threads on this show, and they could easily start screwing them up. And so far, they haven't. And that's, I think, one of the beautiful things about like having a show like this be one of those good video game adaptations finally after the disappointment of The Last of Us season 2, which was bad. But I mean, it was not to say that it was incompetently made. The Last of Us season 2 looked good and was acted well. It was just the story parts that were all, and the writing were all, in my opinion. But that's a different show. So we should probably just talk about like briefly what if there was anything egregiously bad that you didn't like about it. And I'm gonna mute my mic and kill a cat. So whoever wants to go first, Darrin, how about you tell us what you didn't like? You'll see me in a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I don't know. I may be surprisingly the unentertaining one to toss it to first here because I didn't have any complaints with this episode. Honestly, even with my rewatch, which was kind of a quick through because I didn't have a whole lot of time, and I wanted to be sure that I had some time to sit with my thoughts because, like Mark, there's a lot of I thought there was a lot of things that happened here that to get together. But no, I mean, yeah, we're going to see Macaulay Culkin some more, but I think they're using him appropriately, minorly, especially in this episode. He didn't have to do a lot; he just had to be him. And that was great. I think they played with Thaddeus perfectly through here. And while my complaints for last week with the Deathclaw fight for here, it totally made up for any disappointment I might have had last week is why didn't we get to see that? Why? Because we got to see it this week. And that fight was centered in a character development and moment for the right person. So yeah, while there was talking, it's a show that has talking. I think they used the dialogue points for the areas that needed it to complete the story, and I think that they used the action for the story that it was needed. So maybe I'm talking about the things that I do like, and I'll probably touch on more. I'll stop talking because, like I said, I liked it all. Mark, what do you think?
Well, there was nothing egregious about this episode. There was nothing that made me think, "Oh God, that was terrible. Oh, that ruined it," or anything. Not anything even close to that. I will say that I kind of liked last week's episode slightly better. I'm not sure what you guys' complaints about it were, but I don't know. As I said, like I like that they touched on every story. But yeah, there was a couple things that I thought might happen in this episode, such as those Khazar dudes. Like they were setting that up. I thought it was going to happen in this episode, but there's a reason for them delaying it for next season because they want to have a more prolonged battle sequence. And okay, I'll go with it. That's fine. But the other thing is then when what's her face with one eye back in Vault 32, I believe she's in. I was expecting a follow-up to that. It seemed like they didn't touch on her enough in this episode. I wanted to see what happened to all those people banging at the door. But again, maybe there's a reason why they're pushing it. And also, they're doing a lot in this episode, so I get that they can't fully develop like every single storyline. But other than that, like I didn't have any complaints. I was pretty satisfied. I will say that I was a bit more down on the show towards the start of the season. I was kind of like not feeling it, and I wasn't sure if I was into it. But then, like around episode 5, 6, it started to pick up again. And by the time we got to the finale, I was really excited. So, in a lot of ways, I thought this finale delivered.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, Rob, I really didn't have anything egregious that I found with the episode. I mean, again, the thing needed to be wrapped up got wrapped up. Opened new doors. Still left a little bit of mystery for where the story is going with certain characters. Finally gives direction to other characters. Brings conflict into focus and introduces us to kind of an unseen hand. Yes, we heard about the Enclave, but this is the first time we're actually really getting to, kind of like see just how far their reach extended. So, I mean, yeah, man, I'm sorry. I got nothing.
So like it's an adventure over here right now. But I really love that I kind of brought it up so that we could get it all out of the way if there was anything bad, and then spend the rest of the time just enjoying the conversation. But now we can move on. Except I will say the little things that I Macaulay Culkin still sucks to me. He's not a good actor. It's just such there's odd choices and then they surprise you. And then there's odd choices and then it's just like, what are you even like? Could somebody give him direction? Could somebody tell him or get him like an emoting class or anything? Like it's freaking Macaulay Culkin. I'm not asking him to go, oh, or anything like that. But I want him to be a character. And he doesn't seem to have any. And I know that maybe, all these guys are all kind of groupthink a little bit, but he should have some kind of personality to be a threat. And all I see is Richie Rich getting like carried by some guys. That takes me out of it. That makes me feel like that part of it is like just LARPing, and they are LARPing. So maybe that's also the point. Maybe they really wanted to find somebody out there that's just a guy. And if they did, then they succeeded, because however much money Macaulay Culkin might have that wasn't taken by his parents, he didn't take acting lessons during that time. So with any of that money. So you could have tried a little bit harder. I don't know. That to me is like the only problem I have. Also, I hated that's how the poor Congresswoman ended up. I had to put it in there. I love that actress. She is so good. Over like the last 15 or so years that she's been on my radar. And just that she's so good. And then of course, that's what they do to goodness in this world. And it made me think of Captain America, Winter Soldier with like Zola in the underground place. Like, what did you guys think of this part anyway? Because I felt so bad, because it's including the whole discussion of her bringing it up to her dad. because that's to me like, again, I've said that he's insane, and I stand by it because this may be his capitalist mentality, but that's an insane level. Like there are people that operate like this in our world and they're insane, but they don't go to jail or they're not taken, like put in the loony bin because they're billionaires and nobody calls them out on it. So he's literally like that kind of like just crazy. So, and it just broke my heart the way he saw something in her and yet still used her. Like that's some fucking Joker level shit, man. Like, so anyway, I'll shut up. What did you guys think?
Well, I will say I was listening to an interview with a congresswoman the other day, and she sounded just like this character from the show, like talking really bland and boring. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, I thought this was just perfect for the show. I thought it was right in tune of how fucked up this world is, and I agree, Rob, with all the stuff you're saying about her dad and how this is like the perfect way to sort of just describe like just how effed up this guy is, and also like how they took advantage of her like well intentions and good intentions, and how that's basically the world that they're living in.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't know if Hank did that to her. He may just be aware of what happened with her just because we haven't set that up. From what we last saw in the path, Hank was headed back to LA or wherever, and she was heading off with the president with the diode. So I'm not sure if he was involved with that, but he definitely is insane enough to recognize and be there and just be like, oh yeah, she is this person. She had these lot of great traits, things that we want to see in the world right now. So yeah, that's why our head's hooked up. And I guess she's the main processor running all of the chipped people or their conversion or whatever. They're kind of unclear about that. And I don't care. I don't really need to know. It's just weird, messed up technology that this is how it works. Find a good person, and that's the baseline that you reprogram everybody else into, maybe. But yeah, I mean, it is so messed up. And the fact that you're just like, is she alive? Yes, she is. And please kill me, which, yeah, 200 years and you're sitting around doing that. I could totally imagine that. But yeah, but no, Hank's definitely insane. For sure. Don?
Yeah, so firstly, I would like to say I'm sorry, Rob, but I disagree with you, Macaulay Culkin. And I'll say that, remember, the man is playing a psychopath. Like, I'm not expecting much emotion out of a psychopath because they are a damn psychopath. He doesn't want anyone to know that that he isn't supposed to be the Kaiser. So yeah, he kind of has to keep a stone face a little bit, just a tad. Now, if by next season he hasn't, shown any emotion, and even when he's supposed to be angry, he's still like, "How dare you? I'm the Kaiser. I will kill you and have your family tortured." Yeah, then okay, then in retrospect, I will say that I am totally wrong. But right now, I'm gonna say he is a psychopath. Part of the whole thing is the kind of tamp down emotion. Now, as far as the Congresswoman, damn. As a kind of living zombie head trained to program computer systems to control the human race. Wow. Yes, Lucy did the right thing by putting her out of her misery. Hank, in whatever capacity that he was involved, is a piece of shit for it. hopefully Clancy Brown wasn't involved, but probably. Sorry, I don't remember what that president's name was supposed to be. I just know it's Clancy Brown. And yeah, I'm just like, damn, again, you think the one person that was seemingly trying to fight for the good of humanity and turn them into a zombie character. That is heartbreaking. Because I mean, to spend 200 plus years just in a jar with whatever equipment hooked up to you, and that be your existence. Yeah. Heartbreaking. So I'm glad that that her career ended, but damn, I really do hope that they do a flashback to show how she got there, because that was a bit of a shock to see that it was her, especially because the last time you saw her was when Cooper is giving the cold fusion to the president, and they're both thanking him for his service to the country. So I really like, oh, well, who did you piss off? So, that is the end of my rant.
Well, that was a good rant. Even the Mac stuff, it is what it is. The Legion character isn't going to be that important anyway, right? They're just a bunch of silly guys fighting in the desert, and they're about to get wiped out by an army better than them. So it doesn't matter. I'm eventually going to see Macaulay Culkin's head probably fly off, and that'll be good enough for me. But sorry. I don't know why. I don't know why that's the thing that sticks in my craw. Bill's saying, I thought the roaches were a little too convenient. They just all go into that room. Yeah. He's under a table and they don't see him. Like, they all went in there. That is a really efficient way of getting rid of cast. Like, because rad roaches in the game are pretty easy to kill, but a bunch of newly awakened vaulties who think they know everything, as soon as they face something, they just fall apart. So I kind of wish there was a bit more there in this story. Poor Norm really has just been kind of, where's he go now? Do you know what I mean? Like, he saved the girl that lived only because they made her, oh, you just started a week ago, so you're not tainted by the system yet. So pretty convenient, but you need somebody out there to be with Norm, doing whatever the hell he's gonna do. That's the thing, is like, he's just, his character now is starting to feel a little aimless. I hope he just goes back to his vault with her and then gets into what's going on there. Because what is going on there is shaping up to be pretty horrific. Because right now it's still just, let's get the Canadian lady. Which, when they did her origin story, I was a little bit like, oh, she's Canadian. And since I don't know the Fallout history, we talked about this, I don't know the Fallout history between the US versus Canada. But in retrospect, I'm like, she's in a perfect place for revenge. She's surrounded by Americans. So, but there's more to it. We find out in this episode that there's way more to her. And that's what I think is way better than last week's, is, oh, she's Canadian, she's on the run, she might want revenge, but then finding out that she's married to Hank, who also had another wife and had his kids with her. Steph was way too young looking to have been awake during that entire time that those kids were born. So she had to have been woken up and whatever plan she has is the scary one, because with the forced evolutionary virus program, we talked about this again last week. We could be looking at a vault full of freaking super mutants pretty soon, if that's where they're going with it. If she does, poison the watering hole kind of, or the Joker poisons the reservoir story kind of thing, and then turns everybody into something. I think that's kind of where they're headed, but if they don't do that, I wouldn't be surprised. What do you guys think of Norm and Stephanie and the Vault stuff? Because we still don't know what happened to Zach Cherry's character, man, from last week. I still, we need justice for Woody. So what do you guys think of that stuff?
I thought they pretty much confirmed that Zach Cherry's character is dead. That's what they were heavily implying, that she killed him. That's what I got.
Yeah, I'm just being, weird about it.
I think that he has, because he has to go off and do Severance, and so.
No, I know. I'm just doing a little bit of a bit mostly, but I do want definitive. I want a body. Okay, there was no body. That means Zach Cherry could show up, just sitting outside the vault. Maybe she just kicked him out, and he's just going to be in there, trying to get back in. You know what I mean?
Well, can't rule anything out, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I sort of see the thing with the roaches. I kind of agree that they were a kind of a Chekhov's gun situation when they were introduced last episode, because it seemed to serve no purpose. I was like, oh, that's weird that you introduce these deadly roaches. And also, when that one woman looked down the elevator shaft, said, "Oh, I don't see it," I'm like, I knew what was going to happen. It was obvious what was going to happen. Still cool though. And yeah, and as far as oh god, I forget all their names. The dude from Vault 31 who was there with the roaches, what's that guy's name? Or 33, but then he went to 31. He was trapped there at the start of the season.
Norm,
yeah. I agree. I think I agree with you, Rob. I think it would be more interesting if they went back into the vaults. That's what I kept thinking, at the end of the episode. I hope he takes her. It would make sense because she's severely injured. And it seems like it would make sense for him to try to get medical help for her. But I don't know. I guess it depends on which way the show wants to go. And I don't know. Maybe his storyline will be relevant somehow because he was able to look in the computer for information. He made that call to his father or whatever, which we heard repeated back in this episode. So maybe that will play an important part. But I think he's better just to go back. And the whole thing with Stephanie, I believe her name is, being married to Hank. That's that was a revelation. I do agree that she was probably awakened later than he was. And so he had a whole family and whatnot before she was even awake. That's what I get out of it. And I just wanted to see what happened when they broke the door down. Or they probably won't be able to break the door down, but they're sitting there banging on it. So I don't know. Just curious to see what happens next with that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the whole thing with the Vault Dwellers period is just kind of crazy. I mean, listen, Woody's dead. Woody's out of here. All right, he's gone. He's never coming back. I still live bye and all that stuff, right? Norm. It's funny because there's part of him that does seem to be a little bit more street savvy than his sister initially, but then it's nope, that old G Golly kind of thing comes up to him, and that's how he winds up getting in the situation that he's in. Yes, it was very convenient that the roaches didn't get him, and also very convenient that Stephanie was the only survivor, right? And I honestly wasn't even sure if she was gonna survive because, she banged on the door, and then when you first, the shot from inside, and he closes the door. There's the arm that's hanging off of there, and I was just like, oh, okay, so maybe she didn't survive. I'm kind of glad that she did, because you will get a perspective from someone who was alive 200 years ago that can kind of talk about what happened just before everything went to shit, essentially. Other than I forget what the lady's name from Deadpool that involved 31 or 31 or 32, whichever one. The point is, yeah, she's the only other person that's been alive that long, other than also Stephanie, that people actually know about. And Steph, I mean, wow, she called the Enclave. Phase 2 is looking like it's going to be the forced evolutionary virus, and I want to see what that evolution is going to be. Yeah, I want to see what that evolution is going to be.
I agree completely with the convenience that Norm's girlfriend is the one that happens to survive that whole room full of rad roaches. And yeah, sure, they're a little convenient, but it's also like, well, you guys made the wrong choice to kill Norm. That makes you the bad guys, the antagonists. So you all have to pay that karmic price. And if you would just let him in, you'd been able to close the door and you would have all been safe. But you had to kick him out and yell at him, and that let the rad roaches get in, and you pay that cost. Yes, Mark, I believe they are actually heading back to the vault. I think that's what Norm says is, let's go home. And I think he is concerned about what phase 2 is, which is obviously what Steph is now asking the Enclave to do, which is, to me, a nice way. What they've done with all of these is, one, you got rid of the extraneous people. Those little vaulties, they were useless. They were management trainees. They were always going to stab you in the back. So they just had to be sacrificed at a point. Norm's got the one good person, and he's going to go back to the vault to find out what happens with Stephanie. And the fact that they have very smartly connected all of these, even though we didn't get a lot from the innies and the outies here, it is all connected up with the Enclave. And what phase 2 is and what those larger plans are, which the whole rest of the episode obviously pushes us to say, this is the bad guy for season 3. Which I think, again, was just a really smart way to wrap up enough storyline to a point where we feel like, okay, we know we're all, as a group, moving forward into this next phase. And I think, yeah, Norm is probably going to find out what the cost is. He's also at that point going to realize, certainly from his girlfriend, that Steph is there, might even find out they were married. And I would actually be curious to find out if Steph's baby is Hank's, because they were married, and I know she was like connected and hooked up with this other guy, but the way that she could as easily connected onto him the same way that she connected with, was it Chet or whoever the big guy is, as just a way to survive. So I'm actually kind of curious if Norm's going to find out he's got an actual little baby brother in there, little baby Muto brother. I don't know. I'm not sure how far they're going to go, but yeah. And of course, we've got to reconnect with Ron Perlman's, super mutant as well, which we've been hinted at. So.
Yeah, I think Norm, like Stephanie has her information and Norm has this kind of the same. So if he goes back, he can at least tell people that there's this thing called forced evolutionary virus. So that at least there could be a fight there. I think Norm's going to be the big hero of the vault. Maybe that's his thing, him and Chet and maybe Zach Cherry, maybe. And maybe that one old guy, if he can figure out how to make left turns or right turns, whichever one it is that he was having a hard time with. If that guy can get his like spatial awareness figured out, and maybe the people that are cousin fucking, maybe if they could get themselves under control and maybe focus on the fight ahead instead of drinking all the water and the jello, then like we could have a nice little fight in there. Maybe half super mutants, half Vaulties. Maybe they start to learn. Maybe Ron Perlman comes and helps him. Who knows? Now I'm starting to get off into like Stupidville, but like, no, I see some exciting stuff ahead. Like, I'm glad that knowing more about Steph and where she came from, like maybe even Claudia, the girl that Norm's bringing back, maybe she met Stephanie. We don't know. She was there for a week. So a lot can happen in a week. You can meet a lot of people, like maybe there was at least an impression made, something there that Claudia knows or heard or something that they'll reveal to us. And there's still more to reveal about all of these people. So that part of the story closed for now.
Well, I think she's definitely the easiest one that can throw in the, oh, you mean Hank's wife? And drop that bit of info somewhere real easily.
Sure.
Yeah.
So our big action set piece is Maximus and Thaddeus, the town of, Freeside, the part of Vegas that they're in, and a bunch of Death Claws. This was a lot of fun for a gamer anyway, seeing like the old like uniform come alive, firing it off, getting really gory with it. Pretty much was right about what we said last week. Thaddeus is going to show up with some sort of way to shoot his gun without his arm, and he would be on a rooftop and he would just have that moment of, oh no, what am I going to? So, but it was fun. It was great. Thaddeus is becoming an even funnier and more interesting character. Just exposing, like, instead of like, you think maybe he's going to expose them for like, this guy's trying to save your fucking lives and you're gambling on him. You're not helping at all. You're hiding in your, like when people say like, you guys are shit, it's shitty up here. Like, look what you become. Instead of doing that, he's just like, hang on. I have 500 bottle caps put on this. Now he is going to, try to rig the game and help. But like, I think that's the only like thing bigger than the fun action set piece is that these people literally are betting on it, the guy to die. Like, and they even bring it up in the episode. Like, you do realize he dies, we're next. And it's just kind of like, what that says about our culture, it just cracks me up. So violence, Death Claws getting blown up, and the return of the NCR in a VAT slow motion shot, that and the iconic music playing that I mean, come on, you get a little goosebumpy if you played the games and that kind of moment happens. So cool all the way around. What'd you guys think?
I never played the game, but I could tell those Death Claws are from the game. Like, I bet you they're from the game. And so I have less attachment. Like, I wasn't really aware of it, but I thought it was a cool fight. I agree. I love all the people who are in the corner who are like, betting, and they're like, you realize if he dies, we're dead. Yeah, who cares? Let's bet anyway. Like, I thought that was just kind of funny. But I was trying to remember. I got a question because I only watched this episode once, and when Robert House was talking to Cooper, he mentioned something about someone sending the Death Claws to Vegas. Did they mention who that was? Like,
I think they hint that that's the Enclave also. Because
really?
Basically, everyone they talk is the Enclave is the real villain. You thought it was the Vault-Tec. It's that is the through line through everything in this episode and all the little moments.
Yeah, so the demon in the snow was him seeing the Enclave without knowing it's the Enclave. It was the first suspicion he had that there was something up, but he never was able to crack it. And when that's saying something, because this guy's into everything.
Right. I mean, was the demon in the snow a death claw?
Yeah,
Yes.
that was the
Okay.
first side of it.
All right.
Yeah.
And that's what the Enclave was in control of this. Okay. All right. And were they also implying that Clancy Brown was somehow like at least working for the Enclave, or they gave them, or somehow the Enclave got it from him? And they were responsible for everything.
That's why House was like, you were the one that handed it directly to him when you gave it to the president.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah, but as far as the fight goes, good fight. Had fun with it. So yeah.
I absolutely love the fight. I enjoyed it. However, is it me, or does it seem like the guys with the power armor are just really not the best fighters? Like they come off like they're brawlers, but still kind of very amateurish. Even a couple episodes ago when it was Maximus and guy from Eternals. Goddamn. I forgot what the character's name is. But point is, they're running around against the protection robots or whatever, and dude's sitting there like he's playing a video game. And I'm just like, yeah, I understand the power armor is big and bulky, and it's supposed to be almost as impenetrable as possible, but you guys still need to develop some kind of fighting skills. I mean, it didn't seem like undisciplined, untrained, untrained, unbattle-tested amateurs. And so that's my only drawback when it comes to seeing these guys in the power armor in the show. As far as the NCR showing up at the end of the fight, though, absolutely loved, seeing that. Now, mind you, I've never played any of the video games. I've only ever seen the trailers and stuff like that. But just seeing the shot of the sniper reminded me of one of the trailers from Fallout. I was like, oh man, this is so cool. This looks just like a video game. And again, another full circle moment, because Maximus came from Shady Sands as part of the NCR. He joined the Brotherhood of Steel. Now he's back with the NCR. So, or at least that's what they think. But really, really by the end of it, he's with no one except Lucy. So we'll see what happens with that.
Xander Harkness.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah, they certainly play that all of the Brotherhood are kind of morons for the most part, that they're basically lugs that just want to fight but aren't particularly strong, aren't particularly clever. So yeah, I would imagine if you actually had trained, intelligent people in that power armor, you would see even crazier stuff. But it also works for the way the world is that everybody is kind of, stupid, just relying on their armor. I really love what they did with Thaddeus here, because you're right, Rob. This could have been an easy one where they do the ham-fisted, he turns around, what are you all doing? No, instead, he bets on him to win. Of course, he's going to go help. But it keeps him heroic while still keeping him in the character that they've made. And it's just a nice little touch.
Yeah,
and the fact that,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and the fact that he said, I used to make money for a living, quite literally, at a Nuka bottling factory. I just was perfect.
Yeah, watching all the bottle caps come out was hilarious. I was thinking, oh my God, I'm thinking of their world. I'm like, what's to stop them from just killing you and taking all those bottle caps? And then it'd be just a melee in there. there's a couple of parts in this where I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if you could drop 500 bottle caps in the wasteland and not start a major riot.
No, but it's
same as, like,
Vegas.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. Same as how I wondered why the rad roaches didn't finish their meal. Like, they should have been in there munching on all of those people when you were talking about, like, Claudia being alive. Anyway, just little things, but it's if we can tear apart Citizen Kane if we want next. Okay, so
Sure.
like,
But no, I really enjoyed the fun. Like I said, this really made up for my little like, God, I thought last week was going to be a bigger thing. Why? Because they did it here. And yeah, Don, I think hit the point perfectly. It is a perfect full circle for Maximus, who, you know, was kind of this idiot wannabe early on and then was trying to step up. And now, even without the armor, he's going to stare down a death claw with nothing but a paper shield and a pool cue, you know, which,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Yeah, I will say that I thought, for being as inexperienced as he is, that Maximus actually did a really good job in the power armor against the death claws. Like, he made it pretty far, and that he was willing to, as you say, take him on with like a little paper shield. He was definitely going to die, but he was willing to do that. So I think that says a lot about him as a character.
Well, and yeah, he became the hero that he was looking up to as a kid. You know, in all of its ways. And so, and I think that was kind of a nice thing they actually did with all of this, is I think they really wrapped up most of these storylines in a way where a lot of these could honestly stop and move on to other things by the end of it, if you wanted to. Obviously, we're going to keep all our cast members and we're just moving them in new directions. But it is a nice kind of wrap up, like you said, of this chunk of storyline. This was complete. Yeah, there's new doors that have opened up, as Don said. But, you know, it's everything. There was a lot of real complete moments while still opening doorways for future adventures for everybody, which I think is honestly a rarity to be handled well in a season finale.
oh yeah, his character did so much growing, and it was through a lot of actions. Like, everybody's got words in this show. Maximus is supposed to be our man of action, and he's a man of basically doesn't know what he's doing, to becoming competent, to becoming not needing it as a crutch, to becoming who he is, to when he's standing there with Lucy, as like they've both been through a lot and they don't know everything, but they're in a much better play. Like, they're much closer in what they can handle now. And like I said, without a lot of dialogue explaining it, we saw him become a more competent character who has gone through all this, and they've done some of it through flashback, like showing him as, you know, with his dad and all that. But like, the way he fought the death claws was that he understands, like, the people that are in that power armor that don't deserve it are the clowns who just go around being thugs. This is what the power armor was for, was to defend the people. If he doesn't stop these things, those people die. If he doesn't stop those things, Lucy might die. He might not get it. And so that way of being the true kind of person who should be a part of the Brotherhood of Steel or the NCR is this guy now. We got to see him be weak and know nothing and be ignorant and grow over this through his decisions. And other people talk at him. You know what I mean? And I think that that's one of the things that maybe now looking back on it, he was always supposed to be kind of monosyllabic and not look very intelligent, because he's in that mind. He's in that group think of all those guys in the Brotherhood of Steel wanting so badly to be one of them, but not because of where he comes from. Because his whole family got blown up. He comes out of a crater. He's a damaged goods, and he's the one that got away. And thankfully is now becoming this hero that, like, from season 1 to now, he may look like if you just look at his face, you don't see the change if you didn't see it. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't watch it. Now you look at his face and you can see the same face, but there's something different there. There's confidence. There's I've learned things on his face. And that's really great acting, directing, storytelling, writing, and it's all in this crazy, silly, apocalyptic wasteland. It's better than it probably should be. You know, it has any right to be. But it's so cool that we have some people out there that still care about making good television, even if your boss is Jeff Bezos. So moving on to, I'm sorry, I just kind of spaced. I was like, I'm so used to everybody just talking that I'm like, oh shit, next topic. So we kind of covered, well, I guess we're getting to the end here then, which is the Robert House and the Ghoul stuff and the Cooper Howard stuff, the flashback stuff. I always save this stuff for the last because I just love this storyline so much. I also really love how they were able to make Justin Theroux be there and not be there and use the same kind of low tech imagery that's in the game. It's in the game when you see a face on a screen, it's more stilted, and he actually gets to move his mouth. That's the only difference. That's just super cool. Him and Coop's like whole conversation and the way that they were like talking about things, then going back and forth, realizing that somebody along the way betrayed Coop, and House calls to say, I didn't do it. Like, I told you there were worse people out there than me, and you gave it to him. And this is where all that starts to go, where he's takes the fall in front of his wife, lets him be taken away. We don't know what's going to happen. You know, we know where he ends up. We just don't know from that moment on where Cooper is. And there's so many, I don't want to take up all the time talking about this myself. So, really excellent backstory stuff. The Robert House stuff is great. And then him finding, of course, it being them not being there, but still being like, some people would watch this and call this blah. And we watch it and we go, that's good storytelling. So what'd you guys think?
So as far as the Ghoul and Robert House are concerned, very interesting back and forth, and it shows like Robert House said, he's been planning for damn near everything, and it is very hard to catch him off guard, and the Enclave actually did do that. But he also did say that everyone does work for him eventually, and in the past and in the present, the Ghoul did work for him for a little while. Now obviously, there's the whole, will he actually find his family alive? And if he does, in what condition will they be? And then, Robert House. So, I mean, like, from what I hear of the game, like if you get to the end of New Vegas, you can kill him or something like that. And there's a bunch of different ways you can do that. And I guess they kind of referenced that in the show when he was like, oh, I've been bludgeoned. Someone, like, all these different ways in which people have tried to kill him. Now, am I wrong in thinking that this show takes place after, like, the New Vegas video game? Like, I'm not exactly sure as far as the timeline is concerned. But they weren't going to go with any particular canon ending. But I guess no matter what the ending was of that particular game, made never mind to the show because Robert House is still alive. So,
Well, if for some reason in the game you decided you didn't want to explore actual Vegas, then you would never encounter Robert House, and if you tried to just beat the game, you could probably still play and finish the game without meeting Robert House, but it's integral to the ending of the game how you choose to deal with Robert House. There are many different ways. There's a few ways to do it. I know what I did, and I'm looking forward to you doing something different on the next one. But it's his fate is determined by the player and when you want to do it. But because you're built in the game, you're building an army. Basically, there's going to be a conflict in who's going to be on your side if you want to play it like that. I mean, there's probably a way to play it where you don't take any sides and everybody's against you. But basically, where they've ended the season is where the end of the game is about to be. So the season 3 will be the beginning of the end of New Vegas. Now, whether or not they decide to do a little more, because there's some more stuff they can do before the fight if they want to drag it out and maybe play a little bit timey-wimey stuff where it's like all takes place in a day or something like that, or some crazy season like that. Some shows have done that. I don't know if it would work here in this situation or not, to just do some of this, like 3 episodes and take place in 24 hours or something. But there's some crazy ways this is going to go. And I'm just glad that they didn't choose to have the ghoul shoot the cold fusion. I think it was a low chance that would have happened, but you never know on a show like this. So,
I mean,
sorry.
I mean, to say that, shooting that will not only probably damage this planet, but even possibly reach other planets. Like, I'm sorry, what? And all you're doing is using this to power yourself as an AI. You selfish bastard. No, this is definitely something that if it is powerful enough that if the wrong thing hits it, the shockwave will be felt on other planets. And yeah, you figure you have a moral obligation to share it with your fellow man as to not have them suffer. But no, you know what? I want to run casinos and be an AI. I don't know that I could be AI for the rest of eternity. I don't think I'd be able to do that. But, Robert House is obviously a douchebag. Who cares only for his self-interest. So, what do you expect, right?
I thought that the House AI, that reminded me of Zola from Winter Soldier. I thought it was very interesting that the ghoul showed up and saved... Oh, God, why am I blanking on all their names? Lucy, yes. Showed up and saved Lucy at the last second because he did it by shooting Hank in the ass, which he had this whole thing with her earlier this season. It's like, you're not doing them any favors by shooting them in the ass. You might as well just kill them. And he implies that he does it because that's what she wanted. He's like, if it were up to me, I would have shot you in the head. Which is very interesting. So he shows up, he saves her, and does her wishes. And so that really, I think, changes how she perceives him, because she was really angry at him. And by the way, she left him to die hanging on this pole, and he still comes back and saves her. So that actually does say something about his character. So that was a very interesting dynamic. And also, I wouldn't be wrong to be speculating that because when we saw Maximus and Lucy at the end, looking over the city. We see a flicker on the TV of Robert House. I wouldn't be wrong to think that there might be something going on with House and the two of them next season, which is a very interesting prospect. So, yeah, and of course we see the Ghouls going off to Colorado for his own adventure. So yeah, I thought it was a good place to leave it, and I was quite happy with the dynamic. So yeah, I hope we're not done with Robert House. It'd be interesting to see more of it.
Yeah, I think they definitely laid that it's Robert House. The storylines again will split by the end here. I mean, one, I loved obviously the Ghoul and House, their little back and forth. It's kind of that classic, Xavier, Magneto back and forth. It's like, we're enemies, but we're friends. What's up, old chum? It's like, I've got a connection here. And House is very open and honest and direct. He's not hiding anything. He's even treating the Coop as a confidant, as a buddy, like, hey, come on, we're in this together. You know what the real costs are. We've been fighting this fight. It's that great kind of back and forth. And I think using that character dynamics as a way to fill in a bunch of exposition of who's behind things, where are we going, what's doing this, I think was all held extremely competently, because it was entertaining to hear and learn this stuff, as opposed to just feeling like somebody is now just talking and telling you the whole plot. This was more of like, hey, all those behind the scene things, I can now fill in those little bits of what's happening. I thought it was great. I completely agree, Mark. It's a great show of character arc for him. The fact that complaining to Lucy at the beginning of the season, why are you shooting him in the ass? Now does that so she can decide his fate. He doesn't decide it for her, leaves it up for her because he respects her choices and where she's coming from. And yeah, that makes a whole nice connection. I do think, since obviously the Ghouls headed off to Colorado to try and find his family, yeah, House is going to connect in with Lucy and Maximus, and they're going to be the allies, antagonists, whatever, connections, I think, going on to third. What, to breach in from what I believe we're going at, and we'll touch more on, we've got like 2 games that we're going to be entering into. One is the New Vegas stuff here, where you have the NCR versus the Legion, which I think is something that happens there. I haven't gotten to New Vegas yet, but I know a little bit. Whereas another game that I have but haven't played is Fallout Tactics, and that does have a Colorado implement and involves the Brotherhood of Steel, which we get the post-credit little scene connection in. So I think, again, they're building off of source material and then elaborating over on top of it. I think this is happening in a parallel universe to the games, because I don't think they want, they want to do the stories of the games without taking it away from the player characters. So I think, yeah, they're developing it around all the same time. And I think, well,
I mean, with the blueprints that they showed at the end for the giant robot, I mean, that's straight out of the end of what, 4?
That's so, Fallout 3 and Fallout 4.
Yeah. So like we're headed towards all of that. And it's like, again, it's like the end of like Empire or something like that, where you're just, what's on the horizon. The battle is coming. It's all like, like there's a lot of like down notes, like really sad stuff in this. I mean, Lucy, her seeing that he was going to make her one of them and was going to do it, like that heartbreak, and you just can't reach the man. No matter what you say, he knows like that whatever he's doing is the right thing. And that willingness still, though, to walk the plank and just go, well, if I'm not going to hurt my daughter, like I'm not going to kill my daughter, so I've lost. Like he played his hand, the only hand he had left. And I love, well, what the only hand we thought he had left, right? Was just like before. He's like, okay, I'm going to go along with it, but there was always a thing. And even here at the end, he wasn't going to tell her because that's how right he is. That he has the extra button to do himself before anybody else could get what's in his head.
Well, I mean, I also honestly constantly think of Maximus's line from the first season, and it's like it undercuts every story. Everybody wants to save the world. They just don't agree on how to do it, or they just disagree on how to do it. And it's Hank's insane, but he's insane enough to say, you don't mean that. And if you did, well, you're not going to mean it in just a minute. I mean, that's the craziest response ever.
And just Kyle MacLachlan again. I mean, for a lot of people, I know he's just Dale Cooper or whatever, but I mean, the guy's body of work is so widespread, and just the ability to just say so much with just a twitch of his face, just a small change in anything, and he says so much, and it's heartbreaking because he's one of those actors that that's why it's extra heartbreaking, because they know we love Kyle MacLachlan, we want and so when he is this bad and this insane and this evil, and there's still the the weird Leave It to Beaver Ward Cleaver kind of guy in there at the same time, it's like, oh, so when he's this nothing now, that's a character that, God, I don't want him around anymore if that's what he's going to be. You know what I mean? I don't want him to just be,
honestly, I want to ask all of you, I'm kind of curious. Is he gone? Because he's smart enough to have his own remote control. It's also, he said the dial is how much do you forget? And it was set at 0. Also, he pushed the button and she didn't. So it could even be a dead thing, and he just faked the whole my mind has just been wiped. I mean, I think it wraps up his storyline perfectly for him to be gone and for her to now step up into the next stage of her life. So if he's gone, I think it's perfectly valid and probably even more right to do that.
Yeah.
However, he's sneaky.
Yeah. I had something just a second ago. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So yeah, I will say that I hope that's not the case. I don't think I'd like that if he was just faking, because that would seem like a cheat, because they played it off like this was the end of him. So I hope they follow up on it.
Yeah. And now he's got his R&D out there, as he said. He's got his new boxes. We don't even know who they are.
Yep.
And the first thing I thought of when we were talking about Clancy Brown I was just like, what if Clancy Brown's character was already being controlled?
Oh,
but I don't know if the technology was there yet, or maybe the Enclave had it. Maybe the Enclave already had it, and they were able to control the president that early. I don't know. But these are the things, right? Anybody who's sitting there just again, I still don't know what the hell everybody was talking about when they watched this episode. This was fantastic storytelling from beginning to end. Character growth up the wazoo. Goals were met, and we're headed towards the next thing. Do we all want the next thing to be tomorrow? Yes. Is the world that shitty that we are desperate for any little bit of comfort? Yes. But there'll be another show right around the corner. And you can complain about that one next. I don't know. But until then, I mean, I'm just anxiously waiting to what they're gonna do, where they're gonna take us. How far into the other games are they gonna go? Are there there's DLCs and there's original games, and then there's a guy that's like I don't even want to say there's things that they could do that I'm like, if I say it now, I'll break Darren's heart. Because he'll be like, why can't I see that for the first time myself? I know Darren gets super excited. So if I
spoilers
say
for 18-year-old games.
Because the first two were were on PC, and I didn't even play those, but I know a lot about the lore, and I just don't want to spoil all of the little stuff that I know up in my head. So, but I'm trying to think of anything else that we haven't discussed. So if there's anything you guys want to talk about, any scene or character beat or moment, now's your time.
Yeah, just real quick, I just wanted to jump in because we were talking about the kind of like slow release of information and change of that. I think they've actually paced this out really well. It's Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy are the people behind Westworld, and I think one of the biggest problems that Westworld ran into, no matter how well done it was, or amazing acting, or even some great storylines, I think they kind of shot their load in the first season, and they had trouble kind of finding the same sort of hook and bit. And I think with this, they are revealing information and developing slow storylines much more slowly. So we have these stages of what you could go. Again, we need the first half to go after the father, and then we wrap up the father. For him, it's, I've got to find my family, and now, oh, I know my family's alive. And the next one's going to be, I've got to get to them. And then it's like, what state are they in when we get there? And yes, he's gotten caught by the House Un-American Activities Committee, but we also know that the beginning saw him doing a horse thing with his daughter and then running away from bombs. So there's a lot that's happened there. We don't know. Also don't know how his family got away from him, since his daughter was with him at the time, and thus how he became a ghoul. We still haven't even touched on these ideas. And the fact that we've gone through 2 seasons and we've just had this little drop, I think it's a very smart way to save those reveals for seasons going forward and keep that momentum for the character going, and not, again, blow out all their information for a second season and then feel like they have to scramble for storyline. So no, I think that they've paced this really well. They've definitely connected in with the games. And again, for those that have played, there's some like worries and concerns about where they might go and what might be the fate of Coop's family. Because again, it's been 200 years. How long have they been out of the?
What if they're ghouls too?
Of the thing? Well, yeah, but I mean, that's it. Are they just in another vault there in management? Are they still frozen? Have they gotten out? Were they gotten out 200 years ago? And then, it's a lot of these questions. And there are certainly hints in the game of possibilities of where they could go with this. But I think they're, again, just from that last shot of doing the sniper VATS round with the red goggled bit, same thing, reminding that cover of New Vegas. That's the perfect way to wrap it up. Right now we're just thirsting, like, what's the material you're going to do for the next, and how is that going to be? And I think they've done a really good job at, again, pacing all of that up to keep that thirst and interest going. That's all
you'll have to forgive me. It's been a while since I've seen the first season. Wasn't there some sort of deal with that dog? Like, wasn't the dog had some like power or something, and it was wanted by the Enclave?
Yeah, it was trained by what's his name?
Michael Emerson.
Benjamin Linus.
I know, it's always Linus.
Yeah, Ben Linus trained the dog, and there was something special about the dog. They were supposed to put the dog down.
Yeah, he got some special concoction.
Didn't the dog have the thing inside it, and then he put it inside himself? Or am I thinking that he took it?
Maybe, because I remember they were carrying around his head.
Yeah, I don't really remember the significance of dog meat. And dog meat in the game, I mean, is just a dog.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, I think that just makes him a super dog, from the Enclave, that everybody thinks he's just a regular dog.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I'm glad it's done sparingly, the dog. One thing I guess that I'll bring up is when Hank says, "You guys got it all wrong. Up here's the experiment." And the vaults. that's not the experiment. And that was a line that almost was like, man, that's a good way to like end it all up, is really ask that question, because that goes beyond the Enclave. That's the whole thing, because he said, like he's dealing with stuff that he's had 200 years planning, and there have been people awake and asleep doing all of it. So like, what if it's still not just the Enclave? You know what I mean? Like what? Like there's just so many ways that this can go, and I would kind of hope that this is the kind of show that could go on past the stories they're telling now. Like they could literally wrap up like a Lucy and Maximus story and then just go like, we're going to start here in London, which there's a game that fans made, London Fallout. You can play it on PC, I think. I haven't even tried it, but there's DLCs and all kinds of things that they could like use for this show. So, I am really curious to what they mean by the experiments being up here. So.
I mean, I feel like Hank is kind of an unreliable narrator, though. So sure. I feel like that could just be his fucked up way of looking at the world.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, but it's still creepy, and I think that's what works so well with it.
Yeah, it is. And also, like the post-credit scene. I feel like, well, from my perspective as someone who haven't played the games, I feel like, oh, this is for the people who played the games. Like, oh, we're teasing this big robot thing from the games, which is fine, I guess. I mean, that's usually what post-credit scenes are for, is to pander to the big fans, which is fine. It's just I wasn't really that excited by it.
I know. Actually, first when I saw it, I was like, is this just a new set of armor? And then I really looked. I was like, "Oh, it's a Mac, of course." Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah, listen, I have no personal frame of reference for the Prime Alpha. I mean, it looks like it's going to be cool. My question is, what's that powered by? Because if that's powered by some little damn cold fusion core. I'm like, oh, you fucking people deserve nothing. Okay, sitting here fighting over BS, and you got unlimited power, or energy, or an energy source, and now you're sitting out here fucking around in the day with a mech robot and a damn AI a clone of that's been dead for like 200 something years.
Well, I think all these people don't have forgotten, and I think that even the show is almost forgotten. Like well, no, it didn't forget. Shut up, Rob. House says it, and he has said it on other things, is he has a missile defense system. He has not even used it. So anybody coming on Vegas, that might be a big thing, is like, we got, like, he could be like, they could be trying to turn him on, because he could be like, if I don't get turned on, I can't defend ourselves. We can't defend ourselves. I've got all this stuff hooked up. I could fire on the Legion all by myself, like, I hope that we get to see some of
that. Yeah, more Vegas destruction, please. That'll be fun.
So that, is everybody satisfied with the...
Yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything here.
Yeah. And we did it in under an hour and a half, man. 4 of us. So it can be done. We can do it. I yes. tried. I tried to keep it in a loose, and still everybody could just say whatever. I think this turned out great. I hope you guys out there in YouTube land liked it, because we're going to be back when Fallout returns for season 3. When? I don't know, but I'll be here when it happens. And I'll hopefully be joined by these gentlemen occasionally to talk about it. So you guys want to plug anything? I'm going to get my plugs out of the way right now, because there's just 2 things I want to talk about. Just real briefly, If you love the show Invincible, I'm pretty sure they're going to be making a spin-off about Battle Beast. The comic book is written by Robert Kirkman and drawn by Ryan Ottley, who did the original Invincible work. This is a bloodfest of epic proportions that is, I hope, gets turned into a cartoon. The character of Battle Beast literally steps out of the Invincible universe after kicking Marc's ass in that episode and spends the rest of this book trying to find somebody tough enough to kill him because he is tired of fighting. And that's the whole book, is this guy just whopping ass across the universe and slowly but steadily maybe gaining a little bit of a heart. It's like, if you like just destruction on an epic level, this is the most awesome book in the world. 12-year-old me would have lost my shit over this book. But the other one I really want to talk about for everybody out there, including people who don't read comic books, if you can read this digitally, this is a book called Assorted Crisis Events. It's written by Dennis Camp, who's been doing the Ultimates and Absolute Martian Manhunter, big books right now. And it's an anthology set in a time. Well, the whole thing is something's wrong with time, and in each story that's different from and not really connected to the others, except for this time crisis that's going on, they tell allegories about life, crises that people go through, and tell it in a very interesting way. And issue number 3 in particular, because we were talking about Absolute Superman before and how that was one of the best issues I've ever read. For people who need hope, that's a book to read. In this, if you want to be reminded, if you know somebody who needs to be reminded of how we're not much different than anybody else in this universe, this is the book that sheds a lot of light on how we're behaving right now, and why, and the bullshit reasons. And the way he's telling the story really hits home in ways that I think a lot of people need to know about. So if you ever get the chance to check out Assorted Crisis Events, especially issue number 3, I highly recommend it. It's a very important book series that is saying a lot of things that people need to hear right now. And it covers a spectrum of topics that are somehow really important every single time you read it. So that's my pitch. That's all I have, because I don't even know what I'm doing after this show is over. We still do our game streams. I have no show or movie absolutely planned. There are things in the back burner, but we'll see. So, Darrin, do you have anything?
Well, I'm doing a couple of things. One, you can catch me with this guy's channel, with this guy too, most of the times on Monday night for the next few weeks at least. We're doing Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is playing on HBO now. We're about halfway through, so I'm excited to see how the rest of the season's going to go there. You can always catch me with my man Rob here over on the Outer Rim Pod. We've just got one new episode we've dropped so far this year, but it's our 11th, so we're slowly cranking them out. When we've got time and ideas and new subjects, you can go check us out over on the Outer Rim Pod. And then over on my channel, something will be coming up because, of course, Daredevil Season 2 will be coming up, I believe, in March. So you can catch me and probably this guy here, and maybe even some of these guys down here. We'll see how it goes over at D's Reviews when we'll be covering Season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, which I believe comes out in March, if I remember correctly. Mark, what about you, man? I mean, outside of nighty stuff.
Always got something going on. So I'm over on Enchantment of Eternity, currently on a really dumb mission to try to cover every single episode of Star Trek. There's like 1,000 of them. I'm more than halfway through. I think I'm up to season 5 of Deep Space Nine, season 3 of Voyager, so you can check me out for that. As Darrin mentioned, be doing Night of the Seven Kingdom live streams every Monday, and also covering Starfleet Academy, the new show, every Thursday comes out. It was actually a really good episode. I don't want to spoil anything, but if you're a big fan of DS9, you might like this episode.
Nice.
Oh, I guess that leaves me. I don't happen to have any YouTube stuff to plug other than Night of the Seven Kingdoms with these two gentlemen here. Yeah, and hopefully, there'll be some show I can cover with you guys pretty shortly. Daredevil, I'd love to be on that one. Yeah, but other than that, wherever I'm invited to come and spread the word of myself, yeah, I will be happy to be there. And as always, thank you all for watching at home. And Rob, back to you.
Yeah. Thanks so much, all of you guys, for being here. I'm really happy that everybody made it tonight. And I'm happy that the stream held together. Oh, my God.
Woo-hoo! Double victory.
I can't believe it. 4 people. I'm making noise over here with other things. We got intros and outros and all this other stuff. It all worked. So that means we better get the hell out of here before it all crashing down around me. So thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, all that stuff, because I didn't say it. I didn't say it again. I never say it. I hardly ever say it. But if you enjoyed it, please hit like and subscribe to all of our channels. And we will see you next year in the wasteland. See you later. Have a good one.
Do you like to use your power to manipulate people into doing what you want?
Yes.
And that's how you make friends. So, Kyle, what was your favorite scene to shoot this season?
Well, the scene we did together, of course. We did a couple of scenes together.
Do you think that I'm the best character in the show?
I think you are one of the best characters.
Interesting that you said one of.
Yeah, because as we know, there are many characters.
I'm kind of the Fonzie of the show. That's right, Fisto.
Does he agree or not agree with that?
We have sex after the show.
Now I understand.
It's not a good feeling, but we do it.
No, but you are the trooper.